Welcome to Good Money Guide TV. Today we're talking to Charlie White-Thomson, who's the UK CEO of Saxo Markets. Saxo Markets celebrating 30 years in the business. They're one of those brokers that has just sort of sat there quietly doing what they do really well. They were one of the first brokers to offer multi-asset trading on one platform to customers. So we're going to have a chat with Charlie. We're going to talk about what Saxo does today, what he hopes they're going to do in the future, and find out a bit more about Charlie. So Charlie, welcome. Thanks for
Good morning.
joining
It's
us.
great to be here.
So should we start by, let's just talk about where you hope and where you think Saxo sits within the brokerage landscape at the moment, and what type of customers you try and cater most towards.
Well, there's two parts to that question. So who are we now? So we have 800,000 clients globally. There are three parts to our business. There's the self-directed investor, there's the self-directed trader, and there's the white label business. So we have a very broad range of clients. And I think we're most known for our self-directed trader business. But what we're doing, and you asked me where I'd like to go, is we're expanding our investor business. So that's what I call traditional investing. We're going to be adding new products over the next 6 to 9 months. And then the third part is the partnership business, which is the white label business. And I think that's a very exciting part of our business as well, because effectively that's where we work with large institutions around the world, and we help them deliver on their financial aspirations. And when I speak to CEOs of these large institutions, they think about three things. They think about, do I want to buy the technology? Do I want to build it? Or do I want to partner? And increasingly what I'm seeing is the most progressive want to partner, because the other two are either expensive or take a long time.
Okay. So why don't we, if you don't mind, we'll just break down those three types of customers, because they're very different customers, all with very different needs. So let's talk about the retail customers first. What's an ideal retail customer for you? Do you focus to the very small people getting started, or are you more towards the sophisticated end of the spectrum?
I mean, I think at the moment we're at the sophisticated end. So these are high net worth individuals. They would probably have experience in the financial markets. But as I look at the development of our client base, I'm seeing more and more what I would call traditional investors. So they're coming to do their ISAs, they're coming to do their ETFs, they're coming to do their stock investing or bond or whatever, because we have a very broad multi-asset portfolio.
Okay.
And I think another important part is that we believe strongly in risk management, and that your portfolio has many gears, and that you need to be able to protect to the downside in what are very volatile markets.
Okay. So actually, whilst we're on retail customers, one of the questions I was going to ask you is do you think it's now too easy for retail clients to trade derivative products? Obviously, you're a multi-asset brokerage, so you offer investing products as well as derivative products. And what we were saying earlier is that 10, 20 years ago, it was actually quite difficult to open up a CFD trading account. Do you think it's now too easy for retail customers to access highly leveraged products?
I mean, I'd rather not talk about my competitors, but I think that if I look at Saxo, it's not easy to open an account. We have requirements. There are forms to fill in. There's different questions that we ask. So we want to understand our client well. We want to do KYC to a good effect, because it's really important. And then as we go into 2023, Consumer Duty, which will be part of the system as from July, that really doubles down on the whole aspect of companies like Saxo looking after their clients, and we welcome that.
Okay. Moving on to the more institutional, professional type traders, brokers essentially all do ultimately the same thing. You're all selling the same biscuits, which is access to the markets. If an institutional trader or a professional trader is looking to, perhaps move to a more mature brokerage, what would you say Saxo Markets could offer an institutional or professional trader that they can't get with the more broader brokerages out there?
That's an interesting question. So I've come from the institutional side of the business. So I was at a large European investment bank. And the thing I find about Saxo, it is truly multi-asset. It is truly multi-asset. And we have 50,000 financial instruments. So I think that our platform is ideally suited for someone who is in the earlier stages of their financial career, or their financial investing, or very sophisticated people. And I'm proud of what we've built. I mean, we're 30 years old today. It's taken us a long time. We spent significant amounts of money in ensuring that we have a very strong platform with all of the tools, I hope, to tackle what are very volatile markets.
Okay, and white labeling, of course, it's a key part of your business, and something that most people who are just traders don't really appreciate happens in the background. And actually, I've had, as you know, a long history with Saxo. I've traded with you. I've been a competitor of you. When I was at Man, we were always sort of fighting to get our customers back to us. We never quite won because you could always do everything on your platform, whereas we had segregated platforms. Obviously an introducer, and I actually had a white label of your platform when I was at Investors Intelligence. So I know the products well. So let's just talk about your white label offering. Who do you offer it to? What are the key benefits of it?
I think the key benefits of it is that we have a single technology stack, and a lot of the counterparties that I speak with, because they've had multiple acquisitions, they have loads of different technology stacks. So what we can do is that we can provide a single technology stack, and on top is 40,000 financial instruments. And I think one of the messages that I have is that wealth managers in many cases are very, very good with their clients. But what they're less good at is access to markets, and what they're less good at is their technology stack. And both of those two things that we can do very well.
Okay. And what sort of service levels do you provide as a white label? Is it as simple as just putting somebody's logo up in the corner, or do you do deep integration as well?
I mean, we do open heart surgery too. So there's all sorts of different levels of service. So we can do open heart surgery, where we do books and records. We do the full jamboree, for want of a better expression, or we can do some more surface. So where it's just a screen and the facing platform. But it's quite difficult to answer that question. So it can be lighter touch or open heart surgery.
So let's just move back to retail investors, for people first dipping their toe into the stock market. There's a big shift at the moment to offer free investment accounts to get people started. What's your view on free investing? Do you think it's here to stay, and will Saxo ever offer it?
Free trading for me is an oxymoron. It's a misnomer. I mean, I'm responsible for a financial services business here in the United Kingdom, and when I look at the complexity, when I look at the number of people we need to have on the platform, when I look at my integration with the regulator, it's not possible for it to be free. So one of the things I'm calling for is more transparency around fees. And I think that if you as an investor believe that you're trading for free, then I think at some point you're paying for it. And I think it's important that clients understand that. So I think that we won't be looking to do free trading, though I do welcome, as I said earlier, we will be expanding into the investor client base.
Okay. Do you think as well, actually, sort of slightly on topic, do you think as well free investing doesn't quite do what it's supposed to do, that it encourages people to invest who perhaps shouldn't be investing?
I'm not sure, but when I think about it, I don't understand how financial services company can do this for free. It's, in my opinion, so if I look at Saxo, we have 4 people in our client service, in our client money team. They are not for free. If I look at, we have 5 compliance people, they are not for free. The client servicing team, the sales traders. So I don't understand. I think that maybe it's for free for a bit. Maybe just about you can do that, but I don't see how the business model works. And so I go back to what I said earlier. It's very important for clients to understand the fee structure, and I think it's very important for financial services companies to be transparent about it.
So really, sometimes in investing, you get what you pay for.
Most definitely. It's like everything in life.
And actually, sort of on that topic, you get what you pay for. Let's talk about voice brokerage for a moment. So obviously, a huge percentage of volume goes through online, and that's fine for the majority of traders. But the sort of traditional voice brokerage, customer service, building a relationship over 10, 20 years, you're one of the few brokers that still offers that to customers. People can still phone you up and say, could you work a VWAP over the day, and so on. So do you think that's here to stay as well? Do you think there'll always be a market for voice brokerage? And how important is that to Saxo?
We have 800,000 clients globally, so we need to be careful about who we extend voice brokerage to, because otherwise we're going to need to have very, very large sales teams, very large client services teams. So I think that it's an important part of what we do. So if you have a certain balance, you will get a sales trader. And though we are a financial technology firm, people or humans are also very important to what we do. And so that we have, I think, a nice mix. If I look at our chatbot, where people can put in their questions, we also have a button on there whereby if you want to speak to a human or a person, we have that too. But for me, it's about getting the right balance.
Do a lot of institutions and hedge funds still trade over the phone? I mean, I remember when I was, dealing for hedge funds, they wouldn't want to touch a dealing platform at all.
These professionals rarely speak to people, but where we would see them speak to people would be around maybe some small cap trades, for example, or exotic bonds where you need to speak to someone. It's very difficult. You don't see the full transparency on the price on the screen. So I think that, same as my last question, it's about getting the balance on that.
Okay. And let's talk about your view on investing and trading and particularly the mistakes that people make. We all know it's a high risk game, and we all know that a lot of people do it who shouldn't do. And actually, as we said earlier, Saxo sort of caters to the more sophisticated end, but even sophisticated traders make mistakes. In all the years that you've been in brokerage, from institutional down to retail, what do you think is the biggest mistake people make with their trading, and what do you think they can do to be better traders or investors?
When I look at mistakes by traders, there are several areas that always apply. Number one, they put on outsized bets. Number two, they're overly concentrated, so they'll have 50% of their portfolio in Apple or 50% of their portfolio in crypto, for example. And then number three, they have poor risk management, i.e. they could have a stop loss, but they then ignore it. So those are the three things. And I think also it's about avoiding over leverage, because and that's one of the things of Saxo is that we don't support over leverage, because it just makes trading much more difficult, because you're just accelerating you are accelerating your risk dramatically.
Okay. And what about your time at Saxo? What's been the best and the worst moments of being CEO at Saxo? Obviously, you've been involved in Saxo for four or 5 years now.
It's a bit less, but it's just over three. Over three.
So, in your 3 years at Saxo, what's been the best bit? What have you been most proud of so far?
The thing I'm proud of is the entrepreneurial spirit. This is a fintech company with 800,000 clients around the world. It's a fintech company that still has its CEO and founder. I'm very proud of our multi-asset business. I'm very proud of our risk management business. For me, this is now religion. I think that we've seen, over the last 10 years, we saw a period where free money, low interest rates has skewed retail investors' appetite for risk. And going forward, we're in a new paradigm. And therefore, I think people like Saxo can provide a really good service, which is risk management, multi-asset portfolios. These are the two things you need to understand, I think, if you're going to deliver sustained returns in what is a difficult and challenging market. So that's what I'm most proud of. The thing I found most difficult was when I took over as CEO, we were in lockdown. So that was total lockdown. And I had a very strong view for the business, but I'm sitting at home at my desk. I'm trying to emote ambition. I'm trying to contact people by Teams. And I found that most difficult. And therefore, our return to the office has been really important to me, and because I can get to know people and we can deliver on our plans.
It's a huge part of the business is people being together and collaborating and relationships, not just with customers, but with people on your team as well. Is everybody back in the office?
We're all back in the office. We have a 4-1 strategy, and I think that works very well for us. I think what it does is that we then allow people to collect their thoughts, work from home for the day. And then the younger people within the office also get to see how the more senior people operate and how they deal with difficult clients or difficult subjects. So I'm really glad to say we are back in the office.
Excellent. And one final question we ask everybody: right. Book recommendations. Oh, yes. Everybody's got an investment Bible that they turn to. Is there a book that stood out to you that you think people should read, that you think if you read this, you'll get it?
That's a very good question. My favorite book is The Reminiscences of a Stock Operator, by Edward Lefebvre. And it talks about a stock operator in the early 1920s called Jesse Livermore. And I've read this book several times. I think it gives you loads of anecdotes. And the thing that's important to me is that we also need to understand history. Because if you understand history, then particularly financial history, then you're more likely to be able to tackle what is ahead of you. And I think that's particularly evident now with the 1970s inflation. Unless you were a working adult in the United Kingdom, you do not know what inflation is. You may be starting to see what inflation is. And that's why I think history is really important, and I like to speak to people who were working in the 1970s. And that's why I find this book, Reminiscences of a Stock Operator, so good. It's full of anecdotes, and I would really recommend people reading it.
Excellent, excellent. I love an anecdote in the stock brokerage world. There's a lot of characters. And actually a lot of it's still relevant today, the way you invest and trade. So, well, Charlie, thank you very much for coming in and seeing us. Hopefully we'll chat again in the future.
I look forward to it. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much for watching Good Money Guide TV. If you want to know what we think of Saxo, go to the Good Money Guide and read our review. There'll be Charlie's interview on there and also some other articles about Saxo. Plus, if you've used Saxo, do come to the Good Money Guide and vote in our awards. Tell us what you think about pricing, customer service, their online platform and so on. Thanks for watching.